Hi, everybody. It's Olivia Scott, the creator of Freedom at the Mat, and thank you for joining me for this free to be experience. If you know anyone who is suffering from anxiety, suffering from any mental health concern, I invite you to bring them into the room with you or for you to share this particular video with them. So, with no further ado, I am going to bring my friend and colleague, Erin Fuson, up to the table with me. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Hey, Olivia, I'm doing really well. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. So I didn't properly introduce you. Erin is a renowned and reputed, very well respected pain coach and yoga teacher. So talk to us about anxiety. I know you have an amazing practice, right? Mind Move. It has so many amazing tools on the website as well as Instagram. But I would love for you to share with me, what exactly is anxiety? You hear about it all the time. You also hear anxiety and depression kind of thrown in there together. Can you tell us exactly what it is?
Yeah, so, I'll share a little about my personal experience with anxiety since that's what I know best. But for me, anxiety is this, maybe not even excessive for some people, but this kind of worrying about future things, especially maybe you're looking, replaying things from the past conversations. Could I have done this differently? But for a lot of us, it's that forward thinking of what if, and it's almost always negative. What if this thing doesn't work out? What if I get sick? What if, what if, what if? And what really anxiety does is it takes us out of the present moment. So rather than, let's say you're at the beach with your family, you should be enjoying this beautiful place, this beautiful moment. You're worried about, what if I see a shark? What if my kid eats some sand? What if, what if, what if? So you're trying to grasp for all these things that might happen in the future. And our brain, our body, we do this it's trying to help, right? Our brain is trying to help us plan and be prepared for the future, but a lot of times it's just taking us out of the moment and causing us more anxiety and worry in the present moment. And yeah, I think you'll ask.
Yeah, it's interesting when you even say the word anxiety, but the X in it, it's like you hear the word and
Yeah. You're
you
like,
kind of feel
"Ooh."
some kind of way, like, right? And so I think it's interesting because a lot of times anxiety, it really is about things that never, ever happen.
Yes.
I understand anxiety often happens for some of us who are control freaks like myself, right? Who
Mhm.
figure out so many different scenarios because you want to control the outcome, but the reality
Yeah,
is we
right.
have to surrender all this, right? Because we
Yes.
really don't know what's happening and what's going to happen. But with that
Yeah.
said, would you share with us, our community, some practices for us to quell our anxiety when it comes? Because whether you're control
Absolutely.
freak or not, I would venture to guess that many of us have experienced anxiety. Some of us may not have had full blown panic attacks, which I hear those are completely, like, I had a friend who had one of those recently. That's completely overwhelming. But if you would just take us through a few practices we can tap
Yeah.
into whenever we need them, that would be really valuable for the Freedom at the Mat community.
Absolutely. And before I get into those tools and tricks and things, I'd like to just talk a little about like what anxiety feels like. Because I probably had anxiety from at least puberty until currently. But I wasn't. It was when I was 30 that I was finally like, oh, I have a name for this thing, this feeling. So I just want to give maybe some people who are joining who are like, I don't have anxiety. I'm pretty chill. Like I used to think that. And again, it's different for everybody. And like you said, there's sort of a spectrum of like really, really mild, maybe you're anxious on really certain situations, social situations. And then you have this really severe end of panic attacks, anxiety attacks. But just some things to look for. Almost always, the first thing I notice in myself is either a tight belly or a tight chest. And I start to feel it, physically. I like my body starts to just cave in. I feel like I'm just starting to make myself small. So that's something we'll work with when we go through some tools. But anytime you've got like tension and tightness in the neck, the shoulders, the jaw, the chest, that's almost always a good indicator of some anxiety. And of course, you can have physical manifestations. We won't talk about that today, of other pain, but anytime you just notice that like your shoulders start creeping up, chest starts getting tight, come back to your breath in the moment.
And I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to keep interrupting you, but I'll say this may make sense for me. We all know we're recording this in September of 2021. I don't mind time stamping it. We just finished Hurricane Ida.
Yeah.
I was evacuating, and I got to tell you, there was a lot happening right in here. And I'm wondering if what you're saying is what I was experiencing. And, you know, I'm a pretty strong woman, physically and mentally and emotionally. And I remember feeling like, what is this? You know what I mean? I was like, is it my bronchitis flaring up? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
As soon as I was able to get to a place of calm, which was my cousin's home, and kind of be surrounded with people who loved me, and I was out of the fire, it took about a day. I found that this did go away. So I thank you for that. And I will be quiet as you share with us.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap up on that is, yeah, it can be tightness, it can be pain, it can be migraines, it can be stomach stuff. Our bodies are really, really, truly wild. Our body will send us a signal. And you know, this isn't about me today, but that's kind of my journey with pain is definitely having physical pain because my emotions, I was so out of touch with them. But let's get started with some tools and tips and tricks. So find a comfortable seat if you're not already. I'm seated on a bolster. You can be on a couch, a bed, in a chair. You can even lie down if you really like. But my first little tool is really simple. So keeping the eyes open in whatever room you're in, I just want you to start to scan the room. So maybe it's a room you spend all day in. Maybe you're working from home still and you're like, yeah, I've been in here 8 hours a day, 1,000 days at this rate. But I want you to really look for things you don't see often and really look all the way around, turning all the way to the left and behind. I'm probably opposite you guys, but turning to the right and behind. Maybe you even start to say some things out loud. Your favorite painting on the wall. Maybe you notice a blanket. Maybe you notice a door handle. So a really great tool here is verbally out loud, or at least to yourself, saying 5 things you can see in the room. And then maybe you even start to add in a sense of smell. Do you smell a candle? Do you smell, maybe if the windows are open, some smell from outside? So doing this just really brings us back here into the present moment. So a lot of times when we're feeling anxious and we're in that what if, that grasping, that far off sensation, we're either like so hyper focused on what we're looking at, but we're thinking about other things, that we've lost like, oh, I'm still in this room, right? So that's a great kind of tool number 1. The second thing I'd like to walk you guys through is a little self-massage and breath. So again, coming to a nice tall seat, we're just gonna take a few breaths together. So you can place one hand, you can't see me, but I've got one hand on my belly. Maybe you bring one to the chest. And I want you to really focus on breathing deeper into the hand that's on the belly. So as we breathe in through the nose, expanding the belly into the hand and side to side, really imagine like you're trying to blow up a balloon in the stomach. And then you can exhale out the mouth, let it go. Good, let's take 2 more like that. Inhale through the nose, deep into the belly. Exhale out the mouth. One more time. Big breath in through the nose. And release. And you can keep that cleansing breath in through the nose, out of the mouth, or you can come back to a little bit more natural breath. And let's just take one hand to the opposite shoulder. We're just going to start to give a little self-massage, maybe move the neck around. You can roll the shoulders. Just a few breaths here. You can always do more of this, your breath, your pace, your time. But we just want to show you guys a few tips and tricks today So if you haven't already, move that other hand to the other shoulder. And what this does, and you can do all up and down the arms, you can do all up and down the legs. The belly is a great place to just give a little love to. This just, again, brings this tactile sense of like, okay, I am here in my body. I'm here present with myself, my breath. We'll do another little breath in a second, but the breath is always what I tell my clients, right? Everywhere you go, you've got your body and your breath. Everywhere you go. No matter if you're at your own house, if you're out, if you're driving, if you're on vacation, you always have your body and your breath, and that's the easiest thing to come back to. So you can continue your self-massage as I set up this next one if you're really digging that. But we're going to do a little breath called 4-7-8 breath. And what we'll do is inhale for a count of 4. We'll hold at the top for a count of 7, and then we'll exhale out the mouth for a count of 8. And before we get started, that little hold at the top can be a little much for people with anxiety. So if you start to feel that, let the exhale go sooner than what I kind of walk you through. But again, we're going to ground down. I'm going to place my hands palms down on my legs. That's just another way to ground down. And maybe you even give a little kind of rub on the legs just to say, I'm here. I'm in my body, present in my body. If you're comfortable and it helps, you can close the eyes. If you prefer to leave the eyes open and watch, that's also an awesome option. But I'll walk you through a few rounds. So whenever you're ready, we'll inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the mouth. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale out the mouth for 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, you can do a few more rounds with your own breath, your own pace. But if the hold at the top feels like too much, take it out. And just what we want to do is focus on exhaling a little longer than we're inhaling. Again, that just kind of re-regulates our nervous system. It sends this signal of like, okay, you always feel better after you let out a big sigh, right? We almost do that naturally sometimes. You don't even catch yourself. And while you're doing some breath work like that, or even just in and out, simply in and out, maybe you're not counting, maybe that feels like too much effort. I've got some little affirmations I'd like to just add that maybe you can say to yourself out loud or inwardly. But these have always helped me feel present and kind of decrease that anxious feeling. So you can say something like, I am supported. And you can think of all the people in your life who have your back, who are there for you, all the people you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm feeling off today, this week, this month, this year, whatever it is. I am supported. And another great one is I am safe, because that's really what comes down to the bottom of anxiety, right? Is for most of us, something probably happened in the past that made us feel unsafe. So now we think, okay, if I just worry and overplan and overprotect for everything, I'll be safe. When again, it's trying, the body and the brain are trying to be helpful, trying to do good, but it's causing more anxiety, more worry. So I am safe. And you may say some of these things certain days, certain times where you're like, that just does not feel true. I do not feel supported. I do not feel safe. So coming to maybe a more neutral affirmation that feels true to you. And then the last one, and again, even if this doesn't feel true, just try it out. We'll do it one more time later too, but I am strong. I am strong. Yeah, so I have 2 more for you guys. They're pretty quick. So we're gonna stand up for this one. I'm gonna readjust my camera just a little bit here. So you're gonna come up to stand if you want to join me. We're gonna separate the feet really wide. You can't see, but my legs are spread. We're gonna take those arms up nice and tall. So come into this big starfish pose, if you wanna call it that. And then if you're comfortable, you can close the eyes again. Notice the breath coming back in through the nose, out of the nose or the mouth. And I want you to just notice here, how does it feel to take up space? Taking up a lot of space here, stretching really big. This is a great one to say, I am strong. I am strong. Awesome. And this is the starfish pose is great to do if you have to go talk to your boss or do something that you kind of need to get like, okay, I got this. So keep that in mind. Last one, this is just for a little fun. Every time I teach this, people look at me like, oh, I don't want to do this, but you're home alone. Nobody can see you. Y'all aren't doing it on camera. We're just going to shake and dance a little. Ideally, put on some music, your favorite song maybe, but I just want you to start to shake. You can start really small if you're like, you're shy, you're not sure. Just shake your hands, maybe start to sway side to side or step side to side. And then I want you to just really start to get kind of silly with it. Shake the hips, shake the legs out. Maybe you come down, maybe you come up. Again, y'all aren't on live TV here. But shaking is such a great way just to get some of that stuck energy out. You can kind of wipe it off of you, even say, I don't want this anymore. Shake it out. So I hope you guys had fun. You can even, like I said, dance to a song. I hope you joined us, Olivia. It looks like you're still sitting. But...
I did. Back down. I stood up. Thank you so much, Erin. Before you go, what I realized is, that practice was, so many elements of that practice was really beautiful. So thank you. I love just saying, I am supported. I am safe. I am strong. What I also love is when you said, sometimes you're going to say, I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
I don't feel strong. That's something, because we always talk about affirming. But you can also affirm and just say when you don't feel something. And when you don't feel something, you also make a different option, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I don't feel safe right now. I don't feel comfortable in the room with this person. There's some power to being able to say what you are and what you also are not. So I really appreciate you introducing that to us today as well. I have a couple of questions for you. We're going to try to get this done. I told you under 20 minutes, but
yes.
I want you to tell me that take up space I also really loved. Love that. And I think that's just a great thing in the morning to wake up and be like, I'm taking up space, right?
Yeah.
For smaller women, because women, we're often heralded, the smaller we are, the more petite. But if we're like, hey, I'm here, that's pretty powerful. I want you you're a holistic coach, you're a pain coach, and you're a yoga teacher. Can you just tell us a little bit, because I didn't introduce you properly in the very beginning. I was wanting to get into the content so we can get everybody engaged.
Yeah, moving it.
The practice was amazing, and I hope that others will come to emindmove.com to get more information about you. That's the correct email, right?
Yes, website, yeah.
emindmove.com is where you go. Just type it in your browser, and you can also find her on Instagram. But if they were to come to you for more coaching, pain coaching, or yoga teaching, or holistic health coaching, what would they get?
Yeah, so there are a few options. I work with people one-on-one typically. I got some workshops coming up, but the one-on-one looks like a little bit what we did today, honestly. We have a conversation. It's really relaxed. Our first session, we just get to meet each other. You tell me what's going on. I do work a lot with people in pain and people with anxiety. I'm also just very recently a trauma-informed yoga teacher as well. So I've got a little bit of a background there. So I love working with people in pain, and I think you hear pain and people are like, oh, I don't have pain, right? But we all have little aches and we all have that low back thing. We all have this thing. And I like getting to the bottom of like, what is that? Like, let's move. So we'll have a conversation. We'll do a little movement. I'll show clients. Again, and it's so person specific, right? So let's say you told me your story about, okay, when I was driving after Hurricane Ida, I got this chest thing. So we would talk a little more in depth about that. And I'd give you personal tools for if that happened in the future, or let's say every time you drive, you know, you get a little anxious. We talk about that specifically.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And tell us just a little bit about your journey. How did you get here?
Yeah, so I worked in the corporate world. I was actually a researcher for quite a while. I have a doctorate in audiology that feels like a past life. But yeah, I started teaching yoga when I lived in California. I got my training in 2016. And I had chronic pain since, 2009. No diagnosis, nothing helped. I tried medicine, I tried physical therapy, I tried all the things. And yoga was the first place that I just felt like, oh, I am back in my body. I grew up dancing and I got injured several times. So that kind of was no longer, you know, on the books for me at 22 or whatever I was. And yeah, I started teaching yoga and really got into health and like the Eastern side of medicine, holistic, looking at people as a whole too. I think, especially when you have pain or you go to the doctor and they're like, you look healthy, you're fine, you're fit. We don't know what to do with you. So I just felt like there wasn't a lot of people who listened. And that's what coaching is all about, is I'm there to like really listen to the things you're saying and ask you the right questions to get you deeper into thinking, oh, why do I have anxiety that comes up only in this one situation or around this one person? And I think it's just empowering when we can know a little bit more of why, then we can do something about it.
Well, I'm so grateful that you
Thank you.
shared with us today everything. Grateful that you being on this life journey has led you to this work. I feel like you're so authentic and you're such a wonderful light. Really appreciate you. And I'm hopeful to everyone who is struggling with any form of anxiety, any form of depression, that the tools and practices that Erin gave us today, the room scan, the breathing, the 4-7-8, the being present, the taking up space, the affirmations of who we are and who we are not. I'm hopeful that those will be wonderful tools you can take with you and do wherever you are. Home, car, in the outside in the yard, wherever. These are things you can take with you on the road, and then you continue to make space for yourself. You continue to prioritize your self-care, and you find your freedom at your mat. May God be with you. Namaste.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.